stench, so creepy pasta.
A young man was walking on a sidewalk late at night and saw an old woman sitting by herself. He approached her, but she didn't move. When he got closer to her, he realized that it wasn't the same person who had been sitting there before. The figure was much older. The young man looked around and saw no one else nearby. A chill ran up his spine as he realized something terrible must have happened to this woman. Although the woman seemed harmless, he felt compelled to walk away from her. The young man walked on, trying not to look back over his shoulder. Suddenly, when he passed beneath a streetlight, he heard a voice calling out his name. It was the old woman's voice. He stopped and turned around. No matter how hard he strained his eyes, he couldn't see anything else behind him. There were no cars driving past. The traffic lights weren't flashing. And yet this woman, the one who'd called out to him, was standing right where he'd just passed. She was looking directly into his eyes with a gentle smile on her face. "You shouldn't be here," said the woman. "This is my place." When the young man looked closely at her, he noticed that she had several deep gashes all over her body. Her clothes were torn open and bloody, as if she'd been badly beaten. She struggled for breath, unable to speak. This made the young man feel even more uncomfortable. He stood frozen like a statue, unsure of what to do next. Then suddenly, the woman began to cry, loudly sobbing. "I'm sorry. I'm so terribly sorry." As she cried, the wounds on her body became sharper, until they bled again. Blood splattered onto the ground, covering everything. In an instant, the young man understood what was happening. This woman's tears hadn't come from sadness or pain. They had flowed because she was bleeding to death. It was impossible to stop such a massive flow of blood. Even if the young man tried to save her, he would die too. "Please go away from here," said the woman. "Don't you know it's dangerous?" She continued weeping, louder and louder. Her cries echoed throughout the night streets, piercing the darkness. But the young man didn't leave. His heart ached with pity for this poor old woman. He was overcome with compassion, and he wanted to help her. He reached out his hand. "Let me take you somewhere else," he whispered. "Someplace safe, where no one will ever hurt you again." But the young man hesitated. The woman was crying and struggling desperately to breathe. But then he noticed something peculiar. Though her body was covered in blood, her face was completely clean. Even the wounds on her chest had disappeared. Looking at her pale skin, he could tell that she wasn't actually injured. He knew that this wasn't real. There was nothing wrong with this woman's body. There was only something deeply troubling going on inside her mind. The young man pulled his arm back. There was no way he could touch this woman. She didn't want to be touched by anyone. The young man started walking quickly away, leaving the woman behind. But after a few steps he stopped, startled. He was sure he'd seen something moving near his feet. It was the woman's hand. She was reaching out to him, desperate to stop him from leaving. After a moment, the hand fell to the ground. The young man turned back, wanting to see what had happened. He took another step toward the woman, but then she vanished.